Trey. Yes, Trey's here again. Here we are, March the 5th or 6th or something. It was warm. It turned cold. But this may not mean as much to you because you travel around and you may be that guy that shows up somewhere. But, for those of us that don't venture out very much, kind of wonder, how in the world do people from Michigan and Illinois and places like that show up on Guntersville and just spank them? I mean, those Angler's Choice guys just spanked them.
Yep, so they do.
They really did.
That's not me, though. I don't do that very much. I don't go anywhere and do that.
So welcome to the Guntersville Grassroots Podcast. We're doing two kind of close together because of Trey's schedule, my schedule, just the way it worked out. I may end up with a little gap there. We just had a couple of Angler's Choice guys here last week, the Rec Lending crew that sponsors both me and Trey, or the Bass and Big G website. I don't have any sponsors. I just run a website. Trey's the professional over here. He's got some sponsors, but anyway, we're back to back here weeks. Trey, I'm glad you could join me again.
Absolutely, me too.
And it is pretty incredible. They hit the perfect storm. We called it.
Yeah.
When they were here, like the weather's setting up right. They just caught the piss out of them. I mean, they really did. 54 bags over 20 pounds the first day. The second day, they didn't layer them like that, right? But it took, it paid 40 places, I think, and it took 40 pounds and change to get 40th place. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. And then we'll go have a tournament this weekend, and it won't be like that.
Yeah, of course.
This morning it was 55 at daylight, and now it's 46, and my phone told me a minute ago it may snow. Just a little this evening up north, like you won't see it. But, but like chance of flurries. And the weather for the weekend coming up, there are still a few spots left in the Freedom Marine Tournament, I think. If you're interested and you hear this before the 8th, whatever day that's at, I think it's the 8th, jump on there and go because, somebody's got to do it. And Trey's honest. He's not. Are you fishing?
I was going to. I don't think I am this time, though. I just haven't. Honestly, I haven't been out there enough, and those guys that fish that's the best on the lake. So
I'm vying for 100th.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, but then I was like, I just got too much.
But you fish a lot of other tournaments.
Yeah, and I got to leave for the Toyota Series here in a couple days or this coming up week. So I just got too much going on.
It's the following weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Thursday, Friday deal or Wednesday, Thursday?
Dude, I can't keep track of it this year with Bass and the MLF. They all start on weird. I think I want to say this one starts on a Tuesday. I don't know why.
They make this cool thing called a cell phone.
Well,
it's got a calendar on it.
Yeah. And I should pay more attention to that. But I typically wait till I know I'm about to have to leave and then I check.
No free spirit.
Yeah.
Nothing like a young man that just has to work around fishing.
Yeah.
So, well, today we are going to have the winners of the Angler's Choice Tournament who are from somewhere in Michigan. It was Logan and Rob. I'm not going to say their last name until they do because I don't know how to say it. It starts with a K. It shouldn't be that hard, but we're from Alabama and,
we would butcher it.
We would. We probably would. Never talked to them, so this could be interesting. So I'm hoping that they'll get on here and that they'll tell us how they did it.
They shouldn't care, right? They're not going to be back down here.
They're not going to be back
They might just spill all the juice for us.
Is it going to be a Sakamata shed?
It's that, or I would bet my career earnings, which is about $304, that it's either an Alabama rig or a Sakamata shad.
Or both.
Or both.
Or
yeah,
both.
Yeah.
Or both. And there could be a lucky chatterbait fish.
Yeah.
Or a rattle trap or whatever. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to talking to him. I just thought the other day, I'm like, I bet those guys will talk to us. So I looked him up, sent him a message, and he's like, oh, man, I'd be glad to. So we worked it out. We're going to talk for a minute. And they came down here and it warmed up and they left and they sent their cold weather back down here. So we got to turn that off.
Yeah.
But, well, let me see if I can track them down and we'll see what they'll tell us today. On here with us, I have got Logan Kertscher and Rob Kertscher, son and father in that order, I believe. And they topped a 256 boat field, I think, at the Angler's Choice last weekend, which is pretty impressive. Congratulations, guys. It's a good problem to have to figure out how to get a boat back to, I think, Michigan. Is that right? Wisconsin. Goodness gracious. Go to Michigan and hang a left or right or somewhere up there. How did you get the boat home?
So in Wisconsin, we have an Angler's Choice director. He was kind enough. He lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so he has to go right through Wisconsin. So he was kind enough to pull it home for us, and then we just met him when he got closer to where we live.
What's the weather like where y'all are at right now?
29 degrees and snowing.
Lord, yeah.
Well,
And it rained an inch yesterday.
Yep.
It was 50 something here this morning, and it's down to 40, and they're saying it may flurry a little bit here. So whatever y'all did, make it come back. We don't want it.
Yeah.
It was nice in there.
Oh, you guys always hit it perfect. Like that Angler's Choice Trail comes down here, and it's just almost always like they'll get 3 or 4 days of warming. And if you get 3 or 4 days of warm weather on Guntersville in the spring, they bite. Speaking of which, tell us. So, Rob, you've been here before, right?
Nope, Logan has been there.
Logan's been here before. Okay, all right. So, tell us a little bit about y'all's trip, how you go about finding fish, whatever information you're willing to share.
So usually when I come down, I love to throw a rattle trap. This time that bite was almost non-existent as far as catching big ones. I caught a few on it. Even a chatterbait was tough. This time it was all Alabama rig. So that was kind of a shock because the weather set up perfect for it. This time when we were down there, they were on threadfin. So usually finding bait and then bait on a turn, an inside turn. That's my favorite. This time it happened to be an inside turn with a mix of hydrilla, eelgrass, and milfoil, which is what you really want. It seems like there needs to be eelgrass. So that's kind of what I look for when I come down. They just are so dependent on that now. I found beautiful hydrilla flats, and you don't get a bite because there's no eelgrass mixed with it. So this time it was a mix of the three, and then that led into a shell bed and then into a spawning flat. So it was like the perfect storm this time, and it was on a nice turn, which is seems super key to me. An inside turn just always seems to have them, especially if there's just a good deep water around where they're coming from. And that's what I'm looking for, stuff that's leading to spawning, and even getting up shallow if you're not getting bites out there. But we kind of stayed in 6 to 8 this time. There were some, well, I'd say 3 to 8 was the best for us, but they were just pushing threadfin this time along the shell. And most of the big bites were on the shell that we had. The smaller fish seemed to be in the grass on the outside. So that was this time. But it was just a shock this time to see how they would not hit a rattle trap. I mean, where we were catching fish, I threw a rattle trap through and you wouldn't get a bite, and you throw an A-rig through and they murder it. So that was the weirdest part to me this time out of every other time, because when it is tough down there, that's what I throw is a rattle trap. I got one that I like and seems to work real well down there, except for this time.
The A-rig bite had really been better than it had been in years. Like, when it first came out, it was stupid here. You could throw it anywhere and catch a fish, and then it got to where you wouldn't catch any good ones on it. But it seems like, there for a while, and I think that's changed since y'all left again. By the way, I don't think they're eating that like they were.
Yeah, but I think they seen like 200. How many boats did you say? Like 250 something, 56 rigs times 2. Yep. I think that's how many. I think they're tired of it by now. If you don't care, what kind of? You don't have to say the brand if you don't want to do that. But were you throwing bigger swim baits on the rig or smaller? Or since it was threadfin, I'm assuming it was smaller.
That's the weird part. So in practice, I threw a 3-inch on mine, and I had my dad throw a 4-inch, and the 4-inch got outbit by a mile. And so the 4-inch was the deal for us on all 1/8 ounce heads.
Interesting. You had blades on your rig?
Yeah, we were throwing 5 blades.
And I'm assuming y'all could throw 5 hooks as well, or do y'all have a rule that's the BFL style rig?
Yeah, it's per Alabama law, so we could throw 5.
I got you. Gotcha.
For this tournament. Yep.
So you say they were on shells. I mean, how far from the grass were you? I mean, just on the edge, or were you? Yeah,
we sat out in the grass. It wasn't a big shell bed. It was probably, if I had to guess, it was maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 feet wide only. And the grass ran all around it. So we sat out a little bit from it and cast it onto it. There's actually the second day a team started their power pole down right where I would probably want to be casting. So that's, if you got too close to them, they didn't want to bite, especially the bigger ones. So we were just sitting out a little bit and going down the edge, casting up onto it and bringing it to them.
So you mentioned a turn. Are you talking about a turn in the grass or a creek, or what are you referring to?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, my bad. On your maps when you're looking at contours, any turn in seems to be what I've done best on, and if there's good grass on it, that's usually what the deal is for me.
Ditch or drain or turn or
a ditch real good. Yep. There's some good ditches out there too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But so it was, your key area was really a hole in the grass. I mean, there was grass all the way around it.
Yeah. Well, it was, it was basically, it was grass all the way around it and shell, and then right into the flat. It was like the most perfect setup you could have asked for.
Yeah, y'all were like a Love's off the side of an interstate. Y'all were like in the perfect spot.
It was Buc-ee's.
Yeah, Buc-ee's. It wasn't a Love's.
It was the Buc-ee's, man. Everybody had to stop there. So, So were y'all catching a bunch of fish or just some really good ones?
Yes. So we caught a ton the first day. There were so many boats around us and so many people trying to cast where we were. I just told my dad we have other stuff. We're gonna burn this to the ground, and we probably caught like between 50 and 70 fish off of that in like 4.5 hours. I mean,
we didn't even have that long.
Yeah,
we got there at 10,
or
4 hours. And
left
like quarter to one.
And it was almost every cast for a while. It was crazy.
That is crazy.
It was a fun. I mean, that's one of the spots that I always want to find when I come there. And it felt good for it all to work out this time and not to have eelgrass or rain that, like it usually seems to happen, blow something out.
Throwing 4-pounders back was fun when everybody else around you wasn't catching anything.
Yeah, I guarantee you that was fun. That's what and that's what I live here, and that's just kind of what you dream of here at Guntersville, and that's what a lot of people that come out of town, I don't think understand. A lot of times is this time of the year at Guntersville, you can fish 2 miles and never get a bite, and when you hit that one spot, whether it be a ditch or a drain or a point or just something that breaks the current up, a mix of grass, you can spot lock and catch 100. I mean, if you find, there's not a lot of places like that, but when you find it during the spring, that's when they get like that, and it'll make for a good day, a really good tournament too.
Oh, we're stacked up in here, that was for sure.
And it was cool. You could see them on live scope. Every time we caught one, there'd be about 5 or 6 that would follow it to the boat, and they'd just sit right basically underneath the boat, so you can make a short cast and bring it over them, and one would crack it. So that was pretty cool.
So they were really wanting to eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was y'all's time to win a boat. If you ask me. It sounds like y'all couldn't do no wrong that day.
Yeah. We went way down south, and we fished for, I don't know, like 4 days. Yeah, I broke up 2 A-rigs on the same tree, and we only had a 3/8 and a 2.5, and we ran back up and we caught 27 pounds in 3.5 hours. So
that's awesome.
This worked out perfect. We must have pulled up at the right time. And
so you weren't way down the river. That just answered that question.
The best part he said was last cast that I cast the last cast before we went on the first day, and then I hooked one just over 7. So that helped us out tremendously.
Holy.
Yeah, because y'all had 27 something the first day, I think.
Yeah, we had 25, I think, before he caught that one. I said last cast like 3 times because I could just I knew one of us was going to catch. I don't know why or how, but I had the feeling, and I was putting my A-rig back on my rod and wrapping it up, and he said he had one, and it came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the one we needed. I didn't know how big it was going to be, because when you hook them, sometimes they get all wrapped up and they feel like they're big, and this one came up right away. So it was awesome to get. Oh yeah.
Did you break any off? Did you break any rig arms or anything like that?
No, we didn't break anything. Nothing. We only lost 1 fish the whole tournament, and it was when we pulled up to that spot on the first day. My dad lost a 5-pounder. We probably would have had like 28 if we would have caught that one, but we might have caught it the next day too. So I don't know,
Right.
So
the second day was a little tougher, other than the fact that somebody was sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we caught 19 off of it the second day, or 19 and a half. I caught a 2.5. Once that guy got off, there was another team that was there the day before. They let me pull in, thankfully. And we caught a 2.5. And then my next cast, I caught like a 5.8 or something like that, or 5.9. And then we went from there, caught 19.5, hit a few other spots. And then we went to a stretch we found the last day of practice. We were going down it. My dad caught like a 5 something. And then we got to a spot and I got murdered like 3 times in a row, knocked slack in my line. And I just whiffed. I don't know what was going on, but I spot locked us there and we ended up catching 2 more 5s and a 4.89 or something like that. And that gave us 26. And there was a bunch of fish there. We left those fish biting. I wish we didn't have to go home because I would have loved to go. I mean, that was another spot where there was a lot of fish too. I think that I didn't even realize how many were there. So it was cool to see that too.
So were you more, I mean, you said you were near spawning flats, but was current a factor at all?
Not where these fish were. I
think the wind was more of a factor that helped us out than
it was kind of just pushing all the shad into spots where they were getting trapped and there was just a lot of fish around. I guess technically it would be an eddy off the main channel if you wanted to look at it that way, but it's borderline to call it that.
All right, you could see the river though.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean the current was kicking while you guys were here. Like it was real strong.
I was happy seeing that coming down.
But the bridge bite wasn't any good.
Yeah, there was
for us, anyways.
Yeah, we didn't catch a fish off a bridge the whole time.
Somebody probably did, but I don't know. Trey and I neither one go sit on those things. There's just too many people.
No, they suck. I hate fishing them. That's my least favorite thing to do.
There was so much shad there too.
At the bridges?
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah,
a lot of drum too.
Yeah, you have a lot of traffic, but you know that I've never understood the bridge bite. Like you just got to sit there and wait. And I like what you were doing a lot better. Something out in the middle, throwing at grass. You know.
Yep, and even in practice too, another good bait for us. It didn't play as much in the tournament. It didn't make sense to throw just because how good they were biting the A-rig. But I caught a ton of fish on a minnow in the grass with live scope. I know a lot of people probably don't like that, but I mean, that sure is fun too. There were some suspended fish too that I caught in practice, but there's a lot of different ways to catch them in the grass.
Well, look, I'm honestly just glad that you guys won it. I mean, yes, you use live scope, but you weren't scoping, right? Like you were.
No, yeah,
you were fishing, even though, of course, it was an Alabama rig, which 10 or 15 years ago, that was the thing that everybody hated. But
yeah.
But I'm glad you weren't out in the middle of the river chasing bait with a minnow. I mean, I don't really care. It just seems like that was you actually caught it. What they call it, traditional fishing like a man.
Yeah,
yeah. We the only thing live scope helped us with was seeing the grass. That's the biggest thing I think I use my live scope for is the grass, and then even just the bait. We didn't weigh one fish that we casted at. It was all just having that cadence and the right retrieve and speed, and that was the difference in it.
Were you having to run that rig pretty close to the bottom to get them to bite it, or were you staying up in the?
Yeah, a lot of them were down. They wanted it nice and slow,
just above the weeds.
When the weeds were what? I mean, you said the water wasn't that deep. What, 5 or 6 foot, something like that?
Yeah. They were up maybe 2 feet. Yeah,
and slow. Shockingly enough, with the warm weather, it was slow.
It was really slow.
Wanted to reel it slow. Did you find that just trolling motor down fishing, or were you scanning and found something and said, "Hey, that looks good"?
I found that. The funny one. Want to hear the funniest part about that is I told you I didn't have no bites on a rattle trap, but I did find that spot with a rattle trap. I call it like a real big one. And then there's another one on my screen. There's like 3 of them above the grass, and I just threw my rattle trap at them, and there was another one over 4. And then we left, or we went down the edge a little bit. My dad got a few more bites on the A-rig and we left, but that's how I found that spot. And then the shell, how I figured that out, my dad caught a clam and I caught multiple snails. So you could feel it, but I couldn't tell if it was rock or shell, but once we called it that, I knew what it was.
Right. You had the rig on the bottom if you're pulling them up on your hooks. So.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not fun casting an A-rig all day when you're 52 for 10 hours.
Well, I'm 49 and it's still not fun. So
no, I had to stretch quite a bit every night when I got done casting.
However, catching fish like you were catching them kind of helps alleviate that pain during the day.
That's for sure.
You don't feel nothing when they're biting.
No.
And I'm betting on Friday morning, you didn't have you might have been moving a little slower, but you didn't have a hard time getting up.
Oh, no.
No, yeah, no, not at all.
Did you guys stay in Scottsboro?
We stayed 2 miles south of Waterfront.
Camp Naeti?
Yeah,
right?
Naeti.
Down there, yep.
Yeah, down in there.
Okay.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
Then we called her 13 hours back right after the tournament on Friday.
You drove back that night?
Yep, straight through.
That hurt worse than fishing.
Oh, yeah.
The worst part about it, I guess it's funny now. Nothing came of it, but we were getting on
24
here in Tennessee there, and he was getting up to 70 in the truck, and the tonneau cover just blew right off the back of the truck, and nothing blew out. We had 9 miles. We went.
It didn't hit the boat?
No, it didn't hit anything. It must have blew straight up in the air like a balloon. But I think what happened was a semi came alongside us, and the wind from that must have just hit it perfect and lifted it off.
Was it one of those softer ones that fastens on?
It was a soft one, yeah. It was a Chevy one. And then he turned around he strapped everything down on ratchet straps and turned around and came back down again. But it was destroyed.
Did you find a car on the side of the road with it on the windshield?
Nope, nothing. No. I was hoping not.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping. But yeah, it was wrecked.
Somebody's got a story about that thing. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what it looked like. It had to be crazy.
Yeah, y'all were probably jamming to music, celebrating, and somebody behind you probably their live flash before their eyes.
Yeah, you probably made a TikTok or something and don't even know it. So I mean, somebody says, "Look what this guy," and they just kept on driving. Yeah. Didn't have a clue.
And that's the last thing we thought it was. We thought it was a boat cover. It made a noise, but we didn't. I mean, that would have been the last guess I had.
I thought his cover blew off his boat at first on the back, but it wasn't that.
Nothing. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's pretty wild.
At Goose Pond, we saw shooting stars. That was pretty cool. Yeah. It was low to the ground too. It burned for quite a while before I went out.
You guys were just destined to win.
Yeah, sounds like just perfect story. So I do have to ask. So I'm assuming father and son, y'all been fishing together for a long time. So is that the biggest tournament y'all have won together? I know you said you fished the Toyotas. I was just wondering. I'm sure y'all fish a lot of team tournaments. Is that y'all's biggest win?
So the craziest thing is my dad started fishing bass tournaments with me last year. I've done this since before I could drive. Yeah. And he's a walleye fisherman. Yeah, I was probably 14 when I started doing tournaments. So he just started bass fishing last spring. And it was crazy. We won one this summer, but yeah, this is our first really big win together.
That's awesome. Your dad being a walleye fisherman and you a bass fisherman fishing the Toyota. Stay out of the opens because that reminds me of Jay Shakira, and I don't really need anybody else kicking my butt. So
he's crazy here too, man. He's a great fisherman. Jay is one of the most consistent people that I think is on the elites. He's crazy.
He's the safest pick ever on fantasy fishing.
He's gotta be. Yeah, he's got to check it almost every
he was in the top 10 and the one that wasn't the live scope of it the other day.
He
knows how to fish too, right?
Yeah, him and Patrick Walters from South Carolina. Them two right there, I swear they never missed a cut ever.
It's crazy. They're so talented when it comes to that. Yeah, those are some great fishermen, and Wisconsin's got a lot of them. So.
And you guys are frozen half the year.
Yeah.
So
I get more practice than y'all. This ain't even fair. I'm supposed to be better.
That's pretty wild. Well, are y'all coming back next year? Or do you know yet?
We don't know yet. I really do hope so. I would love to hopefully move down there one day. We'll see. But
hey, everybody else has. Come on and join the crowd.
Come on.
I love right. I love it down there. It's awesome. It's just such a fun lake to fish.
There was an article somebody put out called it the Guntersville effect or something like that. Because I don't know, I just can't imagine that there's another lake in the country that has more professional fishermen within 40 miles of it than Guntersville.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean Justin Lucas was out. We saw him when we were out in practice. Our buddy saw Bobby Lane. So it's crazy. It's cool that you can run into those people just out fishing. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, Trey's Uncle Gerald Swindle is in Waterfront all the time. It's just a normal.
I still have been down there.
Yep.
So
Randy Howe. I mean, you got all kinds.
Oh, we got all of them. Of course, Chris Lane, Randy Howe. We're leaving some out.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You got Jacob Wall now.
Jacob
Wall. Which he moved down here.
Yeah, he did.
But
yeah,
crazy.
A bunch of them. Yeah,
a lot of people made it from around here, but that's what one of my best friends is from St. Lawrence River, and I told him, I was like, dude, the best place that you could be if you want to make it professionally fishing is somewhere around Guntersville, just because the fishing is you got so many different fisheries. You got like Smith Lake you could be at in less than an hour. It's deep and clear. You got the Tennessee River. You got the Coosa River. I think that's why a lot of these guys that live around here are so good. It's just because you can't go anywhere in the country and not feel at home. So it's definitely a cool place to be.
Yeah, you guys got everything. Big smallmouth, big spots, big largemouth. It's really everything.
Did y'all catch any spots while you were here? Because we've got some grown ones this year.
We didn't catch it. That's what made me so mad. Everybody that was down there, our buddies, I was asking if they caught spots, and everybody seemed to have caught a spot but me. I don't understand, because that's what I've been seeing before we came down, just some big old spots.
You were probably a little shallow. Truthfully,
if you want to come down, just come down in the summertime. The only thing I'm good at is cranking, and we can go catch some big spots cranking. It's fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
They have gotten. We had some. I mean, I saw a picture from a tournament. I don't remember where it was this past weekend, and the dude had an 8-pounder largemouth that he was holding up, and he had a spot beside it. He said it weighed 5 something, but like it looked. I mean, it was incredible.
And those 3 fish tournaments this past summer, I weighed in 2 or 3 spots over 4 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, just big spots.
So somehow or another, they've really, really taken off here, or they've already been here, and live scopes just made them easier to catch. I don't know. But anyway, well, gentlemen, congratulations.
Thank you.
There's nothing really cooler than the whole father-son team thing, even if the son's leading the ship there. That's a
Someone's got to be, son.
That's still a pretty neat deal. I really appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to talk with us. And if you come back next year, be sure and give us a shout, and we'll catch up and eat dinner or something.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
All right.
Yep, you too.
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye.
Trey, that was pretty good stuff right there, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he for anybody fishing the Freedom Tournament, he gave you some pretty good info.
Yeah, you think we should put this out before that, or should I wait?
I think I might fish it, so let's wait until after.
I don't know. I might just text him here in a minute and go, buddy.
Yeah, send me that Buc-ee's
send
gas
me the Buc-ee's
station
hole there.
Yeah,
so that's what we're going to call it anyway. You know what? They're going to have a boat for sale. What do you do if you got a boat for sale, Trey?
I think you should call Rec Lending. Is what I think you should do.
Dustin and Brandon and Todd.
Yep,
those guys will hook you up. Make the process a lot easier. Apparently, that's gotten more complicated now because you've got to have a title on a boat in Alabama as of sometime last year.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to the state to But anyway, I didn't know that. But when I was dealing with them, they took care of it. Anyway, you're looking for a boat, whether it's from them, used, new, check them out. Give them a call.
Insurance as well.
And insurance. Yeah. Insurance. So
I need it. I got
Trey's got insurance. We had that conversation. So, Trey comes in here today. He hadn't been here since last week, and I haven't been in the little podcast room since last week. And we look on the desk, and he goes, man, there's my sunglasses. I thought I lost those. So he's happy. He's been grinning ear to ear over here. It's almost touching the flow hair.
It has been a great day today. I've got a new phone coming in when I get home. And I come in here. I had been looking for my sunglasses all weekend. Thought I lost them. Thankfully, I had an extra pair, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Those were my favorite sunglasses. And I come in here, and I was like, hold on a second. That's my sunglasses. So I'm actually glad we did back-to-back podcasts.
There we go.
I found my sunglasses.
Well, the last one we were a little late. So it was dark when you left, so you didn't miss them. But Freedom Marine coming up after that. Just go to the Bass and Big G website and check out the tournament calendar and see what's going on that might interest you. Big Bass Splash is at the end of the month. It'll be fun. It'll be 3 days. They'll be biting. I can guarantee you one day of crappy weather never fails when you get a 3-day Big Bass Splash. BassCashBash kicked off March 1st. I've had one person catch one. The win Saturday was special. Mm-hmm. And Sunday I had a guy catch one, and then Monday the weather was pretty decent, but most people had to work. And then the last 2 days the weather's been crap again. Yeah. And although I drove to Waterfront earlier today to carry him some shirts, and there's people fishing.
I seen some boats on the way up here. I seen some boats at the ramp. I don't know if you're dumb or committed, but I like it.
Well, on top of the Freedom Marine Tournament this weekend, you've got the ABA Top 150. That's Friday and Saturday, and some of those guys are probably fishing.
That's true. Yeah.
But anyway, the fish are biting. They're probably a little mad right now about this cold weather, but maybe by Saturday they'll be biting again. Trey, you'll be back in a couple weeks. I think you've got to go to Chickamauga.
Chickamauga for the Toyota, and then I have the Classic.
You are going to Classic?
Yeah. Well,
is that the last weekend of March?
Yeah, no, it's the 20th through the 23rd, I think.
So you may not be back here for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I might not be back. We might have to do a call in or something. But yeah,
I do it live from the Classic.
Yeah, live.
Call you when you're down there hanging out with your boy Luke Duncan, and y'all are
that might be a really good show. We could probably get a lot of views on that.
He'll be doing his own show down there. But we might just call and see who you can get to talk on the phone with us.
That's right.
You're there. So we're local. We're the Guntersville grassroots deal. You know, we're pretty much a local deal. But you know, some folks, we might as well have fun with it. So that might just happen.
We might do that.
I might do it early enough just in case you're up.
That's kind of what I was getting at. You know, Luke Duncan stuff happens. So
that's what I've heard. So, but anyway, until next time, enjoy the floating grass.